This is another one that's hard to explain. The first Rob Zombie remake, while incorporating some of Zombie's trademark strangeness, was still very much in tune with John Carpenter's original film. It suffered from repetition and was pretty long, 2 hours, which is kind of lengthy for a horror film, but as a remake it was rewarding to find out more of Michael Myers' history, and on some level was even a bit profound. The sequel is not a remake of the older Halloween 2, as Rob Zombie wanted to take the series in a completely different direction. This one has no semblance of the original series. It is 100% a Rob Zombie movie. Don't know what I mean by that? See House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects to see what I mean. This is one twisted, sadistic movie, and regardless of what you think of the film, it's really hard to do justice in one mini review. Before I dig in, there are 3 things you should know. First, this isn't a movie for die-hard Michael Myers enthusiasts. It does have Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, and, need I say it, Dr. Loomis, but it has about as much to do with the franchise as Halloween 3 does. I told you, it's hard to explain. Second, it's hard to dismiss this as simply a bad movie, even though it kind of is. On the one hand, it's got a trippy edge to it, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. Visually, it goes all over the place, and it's a movie that says a lot about the characters without really going anywhere. Basically, it defies all conventions of what a good movie is. On the other hand, it's a movie you could dissect and discuss endlessly. It's got an almost literal quality, and while it certainly is trippy, a lot of it is hard to watch without questioning it. And it's a movie in which you'll definitely question your own sanity, let alone the characters. So on that token, isn't that the mark of cinematic greatness? Creating a tone in which an audience can completely debate what the movie's about? The question is, would you want to, being that it is just a slasher film? And finally, while technically it does fit into the slasher category, it's really more than a slasher film. It's a psychological thriller, an emotional roller coaster, and defies all conventions of the past Michael Myers films. So sit back and see for yourself just what kind of a movie we're in for. So it starts off just minutes after the first film, where Sheriff Brackett finds Laurie just aimlessly wandering the streets of Haddonfield. He admits her to the hospital, where Michael Myers of course finds her, kills everyone in sight, and then proceeds to chase her. Yeah, I know, right here it all sounds pretty routine. After a typical suspense scene where Michael and Laurie play cat and mouse, we find that Laurie was just having a nightmare, as we cut to 2 years down the road. Laurie finds herself living with the Bracketts. Wait a minute, am I missing something here? Didn't Annie die in the first film? Well, apparently not, although she isn't exactly in tip-top shape either. The 2 girls are trying to live a peaceful existence, but Laurie suffers the emotional consequences, and winds up seeing a shrink, played by Margot Kidder.
Your breathing exercises.
Breathing exercises?
Yes, it helps.
Breathing exercises aren't gonna cut it. Like, I can't deal with this. I'm not strong enough, and I'm tired of pretending that I am.
Look, Laurie, listen to me. Stay with me. You are so much stronger than you think you are. You are. Now, come on, sit down. Sit down,
Better fucking let me go.
She finds her relationship with Annie deteriorating.
You don't need my shit. I put up with your shit 24/7. You better back the fuck off. Or what? Huh? The fuck are you gonna do? You know what? You act like you're the only one whose life got fucking trashed.
And spends her days hanging out with her oversexed work buddies. As you probably guessed, Michael Myers is alive and well, although the film spends a lot of time following him around. As if he's, you know, an actual character and not just a masked man wielding a big kitchen knife. As a matter of fact, a lot of the time he's unmasked. He only puts the mask on when he's getting ready to kill someone. That's how the film lets us in on a kill. Not by suspenseful John Williams music, but by having the character put on his mask. One of the themes of this movie is the duality of characters, personified mainly by Michael. And did I just use the word theme in the middle of a horror review? Well, I did say that it was a literal film. But yes, as Michael wanders the countryside, he has continuous visions of his mother appearing to him with a white horse. As the beginning of the film explains, the white horse symbolizes the drive of the physical body to release powerful and emotional forces. Great, now we're dealing with symbolism. In the middle of a freaking Michael Myers movie. It's interesting to see that the adult Myers is often accompanied by the child Michael Myers. I'd like to think that this means we're seeing not only the physical embodiment of the character, but also the innocent side of him that died inside of Smith's Grove. This is where the psychological side of the film comes in. The younger Michael reveals to his mother, his dead mother, mind you, that he has in fact found his little baby sister, who we learn in this film was originally named Angel before she was given over to the Strodes.
Tell him that Angel says fuck you!
From here on out, Michael's mission is to claim Laurie so that she can be reunited with her demonic family from hell.
Now, Repeat after me. I love you, Mommy.
How charming. Then we discover that by Mrs. Meyer's divine influence, Michael and Laurie share a spiritual link. This isn't very consistent, and the only time we really see it is when Michael eats a dog, and Laurie can taste the meat in her mouth. There's also this scene in which Laurie totally loses her sanity, going apeshit in her bathroom. It's kind of reminiscent of how Danielle Harris was forced to act in Halloween 5, although there's something very violent and surreal about how Zombie does it here. And then there's Dr. Loomis, played once again by Malcolm McDowell. Wait, didn't he die too? I could have sworn that Michael caved in his skull. Well, we were wrong again, although I have to really question his appearance in this film. He has no reason to be in it. For the first time, we get to really see Loomis's greedy side as he goes around the country promoting his new book and being held responsible for the Michael Myers murders.
Do you feel personally responsible for the deaths of as many as 15 victims?
I have tremendous sympathy for all the families involved. And do I personally feel responsible, ma'am? No, I do not.
He comes across as a complete egomaniac, and while some of it is funny, it's not really necessary.
Here, now take that and go sit in the car. Go on, get your ass in there.
I kind of like the scene where he gets upstaged by Weird Al Yankovic, even though it is a completely pointless scene. Bottom line is, aside from just having him return a bitch about his public relations stunts, there's no point in having him here, although he finally restrains himself from giving that damned Michael Myers is the devil speech. There is some repetition and a completely worthless scene that takes place at Michael's mom's old strip joint, but the film just keeps getting more bizarre until we get to the climax where Michael kills Annie, yet again, much to the anger of Sheriff Brackett. And I have to say, his performance when he finds her dead is kind of confusing.
Hey, God, no! God, please. Oh, God. No! No!
I mean, I know he's a father mourning his daughter, but I don't know if it's truly believable or laughable. They intercut this emotional train wreck with home videos of Annie as a little girl, so I guess the film is trying to be a little sensitive to the situation, but it's a horror film, they could lighten up a little. We get to the end where Michael chases Laurie/Angel to a desolate farmhouse, helicopters show up, as does Loomis to try and reason with Michael because, you know, it worked so well before. And this is where the film completely defies not only the conventions of Halloween, but most slasher films. You ready for it? Here it is.
Michael, for God in heaven, die!
Michael Myers speaks. That's just like if in one of the Friday the 13th films if Jason got pissed and just shouted, "Die!" I mean, they actually had the balls to have Michael Myers talk. Die! I know it's just one word, but still, it blows my mind. Again, it's a very surreal, profound way of handling the Michael Myers storyline, and I know a lot of fans really hated this one. And people who don't go to see slashers probably won't give it a try because, hey, it's a Halloween movie. They'll pass, thank you very much. It doesn't really know what it wants to be, and instead kind of creates its own genre. It's like the T-1000 continuously shape-shifting at the end of Terminator 2 because it just has no idea what it wants to be anymore. So is it a good film, or is it completely abysmal? It's definitely thought-provoking and interesting, definitely not what the casual slasher fan would expect. And that's where the movie kind of kills itself. It doesn't really have an audience. So if you're in the mood for something like that, basically a big, bloody, epic slasher movie that has no basis in reality and will truly screw with your head, you might want to give it a try. It's actually kind of memorable because of just how different it is, but it's also not very fun to watch. Then again, neither were most of the sequels. But Rob Zombie definitely tried to do something different, putting his own spin on the series, and he succeeded in his own demonic failure. I don't think it did great at the box office, but if you're curious in the least, I say, hey, it's Halloween.
What's the difference between jam and jelly?
I don't know. What?
You can't jelly your cock up a dead girl's ass. You're like, cow! What? Cow!